right, all right. Here we are. Had to delete some old episodes so we free up some storage to do this episode. However, this is From the Margins with James Afont and yours truly, David Washington. How are you, Jimmy?
A week before Christmas, and I'm excited that I have 99.9 of my presents.
Well done, well done. I haven't even started thinking about Christmas yet. It's such a different feeling being here in Florida, even though today is actually kind of cold out for Florida standards. It's sunny, it's beautiful, and
Hey,
from
people in Chicago, a day like today, would be walking in shorts.
exactly,
Having a
that's exactly true. And right now, this morning it was like 4 below, and I'm like, yikes! I do not miss that. I can deal with the cold weather. It's just the snow. Forget it. I'm done with the snow. But hey, it's good to see you, Jimmy. And it's been quite the week of news. But let's jump into some news that you brought to me while we were in the green room. Redistricting, the Orange County Charter amendment that requires redistricting of the county commission will add two new commission seats beginning on this coming election, 2026. So the news is that you, James Avant, have been appointed to represent Commissioner Maribel Gomez Cordero, our dear friend, to represent her district on that commission. Congratulations again, Jimmy.
Thank you.
Oh
It's
yes,
going to be interesting. First of all, I'm going to say this: a lot of people who propose this 8 districts, I don't know if they would think how they thought it through because there's a lot of things that are up in the air. Example, the committee will recommend, and if it follows the last trend that we did, it will give them 2 maps and let the county commissioners pick which one of those 2 maps they want. Uh, they will not be numbered this time because basically there's going to be 2 new numbers, and I'm assuming that that's going to be the county commissioners. Now the caveat that we have to keep them in their districts is going to be interesting, particularly since 2, 4 are termed out. Okay,
correct.
that's so. In the election of 2026, they're not up for re-election. So where their resident within their district falls is okay. Uh, 6 is going to still continue, but he's going to be up for re-election no matter. Uh, then you have another phenomena: 1, 3, and 5 will not be up for re-election, even if they have a different number in their districts, which there is a possibility that they might have a different number. Uh, but the numbers, I think the county commissioners are going to reserve that right and say, we're appointing them. We'll give them the numbers. You just draw the lines and give us to us. So those 2 caveats are going to be different.
Okay,
Uh, the interesting thing is what I think that people tend to forget in so few years is the dynamics of redistricting. Some people come with agendas, and we saw that the last time around when
yes, we
somebody
did.
wanted to remove Maitland out of District 5. Others wanted to put all of Winter Garden in District 2 or Coe in District 2, and so on. And it was more of an agenda. Some commissioners wanted to take over a TAF, and others did. It is an agenda. Now, the question is going to be a little bit different. You have to create 2 districts who are not going to have representation in that committee. Let's call it the way it is. They're not going to have representation.
Good
Uh,
point.
they're not. So whatever nobody wants might end up in those 2 districts.
Mm,
Okay. There are some maps that I've seen that are floating out there. They look logically good. I'm not sure how well they're going to be received. And I'm not how sure things are going to go. One of them wants to put all of Winter Garden into District 2, and that would give District 2 Apopka, Ocoee, and Winter Garden, 3 large cities. And basically, District 1 will have none. Uh, District 4, the one that is proposed right now, would still have part of the city of Orlando, and the same with the others. We still have to deal with Maitland, we still have to deal with Winter Park, and so on. So basically, it is going to be how these areas are looked at and how they're going to be partitioned. And my biggest concern is that the two new districts, I don't see anybody going there to fight how they should be or look like. That is my concern because I don't. Last time, if you remember, 5 didn't want Maitland. Well, that might end up in a separate district. You might have a Popka who really did not want all of Ocoee in District 2,
Correct.
might be pushing to put it in a separate district. There is a push to try to create 2 African American districts, which concerns me because you're not going to get, if you get a 2, looking the way I know these maps, you might end up with a 41 and possibly a 43. And that might cause what I call a challenge, and they might end up not being immediately African American, and considering, and I'm saying this with all due respect, that the African American community, a difference than the Hispanic community, is not growing at the same rate.
And that was going to touch upon that, Jimmy. I'm sorry to jump in, but since you brought up that specific point, I was going to say the same thing. There's really no justification for a second black district because the numbers just aren't there. The population is not there when you compare it to the growing Latino demographic in Orange County by far, by far.
And the proposed map that I've seen, the only way you also could do it and create a 2 is you make basically District 2 extremely white. You're
Hmm.
taking all of Pine Hills out of District 2 and putting it into a new district. And with all due respect, you're making it much, much wider district. And the 2 other districts might end up being completely white,
Right.
which is not something that I would recommend or advocate for. So it's going to be an interesting thing because the people who proposed the 8 districts, I don't think they saw through how would you split up the pie, and they didn't think through other things other than, you know, when I was in the CRC, if you remember, uh,
Yes.
Carmen Torres quit because she wanted the 8 districts, and the CRC voted against it. And the mentality against it was not that there was not a need, but how would it be divided? What would be the grounds?
Right.
What would it look like? And basically, I I've seen this, and more than when I did it with the school board and when I did it, the redistricting also for the county. It is a, like, laws. It's, everybody loves sausage, but nobody likes to look at the way it's done. And this is going to be a fight because basically that's it. Then you're going to have the 2 new districts. You're going to have people going in there and say, "Hey, I want it to look like this, so my friend can run." Because one thing that, let's
Mhm.
clear, if you're in the redistricting committee, you're not running.
That's right.
You cannot run. So basically, be careful of what you wish for. And the other thing is, if you're going to be on the redistricting committee, are you going to be able to get points through as to what wants to be done? If you remember, the last time there was something like 19 maps,
I remember, sir. I remember.
and there was some hard feelings at the end.
Yes, yes, there were.
And some of them were addressed to me, by the way. And I don't care. I really don't care. Now, the other thing that I think is going to be interesting
Okay,
is, okay, and we're going to have a new election with new districts in 2026.
correct.
I'm going to take something that has nothing to do with redistricting, but has something to do with what you do for a living.
Okay,
The new candidates and the candidates from District 6, uh, 2,
and
and
four.
4 because it is their new districts, can they go county-wise to obtain their petitions? That's a question that there is no really answer, but that was one of the things that I
Ah,
keep telling people. You need to think about this, how this goes, because the last time that there was redistricting, if you remember,
oh yeah.
that was the open field that everybody took advantage of. So in
That's-
2026, people, you could go any place in the county and get your signatures to run by petition, which is going to make your life much easier.
That's true. You make a very good point, Jimmy. And I would think that would be only fair, given the new districts. I can see the argument on the other side, where members of the commission could say, "Well, the lines are drawn. This is what it is," and people will prospective candidates will have to secure petition signatures from those defined districts, provided that everything is wrapped up in time for people to secure those petition signatures.
and and, and,
Um,
and that might be the cost that everything. Last time they could have done that,
right.
and they chose not to. Okay, they basically approved everything at the end of July when uh, it had to be. By then, everybody had to be qualified. That's the other issue that they need to understand. It is not by the election. If you're going to go by petition, what is normally in June,
Yes.
and
Yes.
you
By,
can
by
start,
mid
and
June.
you can start gathering petitions in January.
Now, will knowing that we will have new districts, will can there be an announcement? Because we don't know when the commission will start, do we?
No,
So, can the county commission pass some rule or ordinance saying that it's okay to start collecting petitions for county commission, despite the fact that those defined districts have not been determined yet?
no, they can't because they can't say, hey, you're going to have. And this is the logic behind this. You have to have them in District 3. Well, you don't know what District 3 is going to look like.
Exactly.
So you don't know how to gather petitions in that District 3. So basically, what you're going to have to do is come in and say, okay, uh, gather them at wherever you can because that might be District 3. And I don't go a step further. We don't even know the numbers of the districts because they're not going to be given to us until we say, here's the map. And this is what we're recommending, county commissioners. You decide if you want to go with this map or that map, or technically under the law, you can create your own map. That's something that people tend to forget about redistricting. But at the end of the day, the person who's going to say this is District 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 is going to have to be the county commissioners. So basically, you don't know how each district is going to look. So basically,
Right.
there's no way you can say, well, this one is from this street, and this street is no longer District 3. It used to be, but it's no longer, so I'm good. No. The supervisor election is not going to go through that much trouble. I'll tell you that right now. And that's another story at the supervisor of election.
And I was going to mention they have a lot of work. The new supervisor, Karen Dental, will have a lot of work ahead of her in regards to creating new precincts, polling locations. Uh, that's not easy. That's
And
not easy.
and this is the interesting part. And this is what I keep telling you. Did you really think this one through? Okay. Okay. No. Let's get this.
Right, Jimmy. You're right.
Karen, I want to run for county commissioner. Which district? Hell, I don't know because
Mhm.
as of today, that, you know. But under the old rules, I could run. I want to run for 1 through 6. Wait a minute. But what if I want to run for 7 or 8? But by the way, since I don't know if I can because I don't know the lines, how am I going to register and do this? This is the part of the problem that I keep telling people. You know, sometimes we get emotional about things and these things look good and that, but we have. My grandfather used to tell me it's all about the details, and I think that's the part that they left out. Right now, We're 1 year away from the elections in 2026.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Let's stop pretending. We're in December 12th. The month is gone. Okay, it's
Oh yeah.
Christmas and everybody's gone. Okay,
Exactly.
exactly. Okay, so in January of 2025, you're 1 year away. 1 year away of what I would call you better start your campaign.
Yeah.
Because if you leave your campaign for January 2026, there's a good chance you're going to lose. You
Yeah.
have to do fundraising. You should, by this summer in 2025, you should have your campaign manager set up. You should have your campaign, everything. But here's where it becomes interesting. Karen, I'm going to register for District 1, but it might end up being District 2. Hey, Karen, I'm going to register in District 3, but it might be District 7. So how do I do this? And what's the dynamic that Karen's going to follow through? And these are the details that I don't think people have thought through. And why
Right.
do you say this? Well, it's not unusual to register to run for a county commissioner a year before the date that you have to qualify, either by petition or money.
Exactly.
That's not unusual. As a matter of fact, Karen registered as a candidate for Supervisor of Election a year before this election. So let's stop, pretending that it is otherwise. So, are she going to take registrations from people who say, "I'm going to run for county commissioner," but I let you know the district once the county commission tells me these are the lines? Because I might say, "Hey, I want to run for 5," and one of the maps that is proposed right now, I live in District 5. If it goes through, I will be in another district
Mm.
because what is considered today 5 is
Will
no
be this.
it will be outside of District 5. So the question is,
Mhm.
what number are these districts going to get? Which that's decided by the county commissioners once they approve the map. Okay,
Correct.
they have to approve the map and say, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, and that if everything looks like it is, the redistricting is going to start meeting in May of next year. Should it take 8 months, which it took the last time, just to
Yeah.
repeat this last time, because remember, we go out to this different districts, and now it's going to be interesting where
Oh.
we're going to go, because District 5 may not be District 5, District 4, but we're going to go to the ones that exist now. That
Yeah.
is 6 meetings, okay? 6 meetings alone. You meet once a month, that's 6 months. And that does not include the 3 that you go for training, what I would like to call training, and the 3 that you come back to
Yeah.
decide the final maps. So you're talking a total of 1 year. So we might give to the county commissioners our maps recommended in May of 2026.
That's just not enough time for effective candidacy unless you start with an idea of what the district may look like and start meeting people. There's things you can do.
But wait a minute. No, there's things you can do. But let me put it this way.
Okay.
As of today, as of next year, and to such time that the county commissioners approve the 8 districts, even though voters approved it. Okay, let's get this clear. You could register for 6. I don't think you can say I'm running for 7 or 8 because they don't exist as of today. So they're going to allow people to switch. That's this.
Exactly. You
There's no question about it. But
you
this,
took my words right out of my mouth, Jimmy. You people will have to just file for the district that they're in right now or anticipate being in when they hope to be elected to, and pray that the commission will allow people to switch districts
technically it's not the
once they're
commission.
defined.
It's going to be the supervisor of election, and
Okay, supervisor of
in
election.
which under the law there's nothing illegal. But the thing is that right now,
Mhm.
as of the day that today and even next year when it is, There's only six county commissions right now, and you can register to say I'm a candidate for, but you cannot say, hey, I don't know where 7 or 8 is going to be, but I'm going to run for 7 or 8 because they don't exist. That's what I'm trying to get there. They don't exist. You cannot
Yeah.
register to vote for them. We voted them in, and you think, oh well, that's no.
Right.
Technically, under the law, the county commissioners have to say, okay, based on what you people voted in, we have created, and this is the map, and these are the 8 districts, but they don't exist as of today.
Jim, Jimmy, you've been involved in Florida politics a lot longer than I have, and so you know a lot of these personalities and have longer relationships. Kara Castrodendo, she's been a state rep, she's been a school board member, and now she's going to be the supervisor of elections. Given just redistricting alone, on top of being prepared for municipal elections in 2025 and also the elections in 2026, which of course are going to be, phenomenal. Um, is she? It, will you think she'll be ready?
Let me tell you something. I'm a very good friend of Bill Cowles. I've admired Bill Cowles from the day that he started, and he was the assistant to Dixie Barber, who was then the supervisor of election.
Yeah,
When I went to register to vote, tell me I had to register as a Democrat because Republicans were worthless in this. And those were her exact words
yeah,
uh, in this county. And I was okay. Uh, yeah, I was intending to register as a Democrat anyway, but back in the 70s, Democrats were not the same that they are today. Let's
that's
clarify.
true. That's very true.
Okay, okay. As a matter of fact, in the 60s, we all know that Martin Luther King was a Republican.
That's correct.
Okay, so I've known him, and one of the things that he's always told me, he knows his business,
Yeah,
but he has a very efficient staff. And in one of my recent conversations with him, I said, "Well, you quit early because you wanted to retire to be with your grandkids, but you wanted to move out of the county, you wanted to go." And I say, "Do you have any concerns?" He says, "I had no concerns because I have the best staff in the world." Jimmy, and this was a part, I'm paraphrasing, the elections went through without a hitch in Orange County, not because of the person who was the supervisor election, it was because of the staff that's in that office.
that's true.
So when you ask me, is she? Probably not. And
Hmm.
I'll say it's probably not.
Yeah,
But she has some staff that I trust with my eyes blind. As a matter of fact, and this is not an unknown secret, when the Maribel won, it was a recount.
that's
I
right.
was the person who represented Maribel in front of
That's
there.
right.
I was talking all the time with Bill, with his staff, with his attorneys. They
Yeah,
all know me because they know that I know the law and they respect my opinion. So basically, at this point, if Karen decides to be smart and say, "Hey, Lucy, uh, you're the person in charge of the work, the precincts and things like that. Uh, what changes do we have to do?" And hey, now instead of having so many precincts per, but what are the numbers? And trust the staff to do that work for you. There's not going to be a problem in 2026.
right. I know that current supervisor of elections, Glenn Gilzine, has let go some of his senior staff, and that is a concern. Um, she has stated, if I remember correctly, in the media that if these individuals were deemed to be let go inappropriately, she's more than willing to have them back. So that does help in her favor if that is the case. But I agree, she's going to need as much help as possible.
Yeah, and let me tell you that if she ever wants to talk to me, I could tell which staff she could trust and not. I could tell her which staff, if I was her, I would promote. And and others. I'll say Lucy is one of the most competent people I've known in that office. And if I was to ever be honored with being the supervisor of election, she would be my right hand. So just so everybody knows, the other people that I would have put before her have since retired. A lot of people, when they saw Bill leaving,
Yeah.
They left. Okay. And some of the people that he let go, with all due respect, where people would tell me, you're doing this wrong, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that, you should do it this way or that way. And look, Nick has been the supervisor of elections attorney for the last
Yeah.
14 years. Okay. Nick is probably the most knowledgeable person that I know in this county as an attorney in election laws. I respect his opinion beyond credibility. And with all due respect, he brought in a lady who knows nothing about elections. Okay. And what she would do is collect the check and then look at Nick and say, Nick, can we do this?
Wow.
Okay. Uh, the other thing is, there's going to be a new canvassing board coming in,
Correct.
as you know. So that also will depend who's on that canvassing board, because that canvassing board is very important and it's viewed. When I sat down with that canvassing board for Maribel, and I sat in front of them and we went to recount, uh, it was, Jimmy, do you agree with me on this? Yeah, I agree with you, because they know who they're dealing with, and that's our problem. I think that one of the things that I don't like to brag about, but in the last 40 years of elections here, I remember when we had to go to out and be sworn in to register people to vote, and tabulate everything and come in Monday morning, miss our job, and sit down with the employees and go through it, from the days now that we just give a piece of paper and a stamp, and the person fills it out and sends it through the mail. Or you go and get your new tags at the at the tax collector, and they
Yeah.
give you a uniform right there. Those days have changed. But what has not changed is the integrity of the elections. I could say this: of all the supervisor of election that I know in this state, Orange County's always been the best.
Excellent. And we expect it to be the best moving forward. Um, and one more question in regards to the Supervisor of Elections Office. What could Castor Dental improve upon once she takes office, in your opinion?
Outreach. One of the things that Bill started and tried was outreach. Uh, Realistically, there is a problem that in the United States of America,
Yes.
almost 50% of the population is not voting. Some say it's because they lost faith in the system. That's possibly true. Then try to find out why, and if what their distrusts are legit, deal with them. If they're not legit, try to explain to them, look, that's not going to happen. Uh, Try to, make sure that these people have access. Some of the times, and I'm going to say this, some of the precincts are decided because a church wants to participate and make the money, and they give you the facility, but maybe they're not in the best area. I could tell you that I remember once uh, I observed this with Dixie Barber. Uh, there was some churches that were trying to get uh, that elections held there because of the money that, look, they get paid for it. Let's stop pretending.
Yeah,
And
they
some of
do.
their people from the church, they donate whatever they get paid, the $150, they donate it to the church. So a church on election day can make a ton of money. Okay,
Yes.
so that's one. The I remember Bill Cowles having to sit down and say, "Look, you know, I would love it, but you people are too close too, and I cannot have in both of these churches because you're really a block away, and it's I have to be." And that's what I mean by outreach. Try to explain,
Yeah.
and and basically, I remember that one of the things that we have is like UCF, for example. Yes, it's a great place to do it, but you're going to need more people in presidential elections that you need during what I call the governor's election.
Local.
That
Yeah.
you don't need that much, and learn those things and how many precincts. But right now, yeah, you're going to go and change the whole ball of wax. What might have been precinct 501 might now be precinct 802.
Yeah. Ooh, there's a lot going on in 2025,
Oh
leading
yeah,
into 2026. A lot. Jimmy, back to the redistricting. You say you've seen a couple of maps out there that are floating some ideas. Um, where 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 would these likely two new districts show up? East side, west side?
center.
Mm-mm.
Part of it's east and part the new districts. How can I say this? District two is more or less solid. Yeah, maybe you could take some, and what they're trying to do is take some out of District two and make the two African American districts, and then bring down District two and take a straight line and take out Winter Garden, put in District two together with Ocoee. Uh, and that's why I would say those areas that nobody's going to fight for. And my concern, why I say in the center, is because I don't see anybody fighting for Maitland and Winter Park to stay in
Mm,
District 5, for example. That's too far away, and it's basically they're probably going to use Cimarron as a divine line, if not a Lafayette. You know, the other area is what I call the fake area. And what's the
mm,
fake area? Well, you have District 4 and 5 have a lot of territory, but there's nobody living in that territory, so it looks like really long. But we know that in District 4, there's a lot of empty land that nobody lives, and the same with District 5. So I'm thinking that maybe the new districts will be Maitland and Winter Park in one area,
okay.
and then Cimarron to Alafaya, all the way down to Colonial in another.
Okay.
And then
Mm,
leave District 5 from Alafaya all the way to the border, leave District 4 from maybe Cimarron all the way to then 3 and so on.
right.
But it's going to be interesting because how much influence are candidates going to have on trying to reach the members of the committee? Because remember one thing that people don't remember about redistricting. If you're a member, I can't talk to you. But if you're not a member, I can talk to you.
That's right.
And the amount of people who contacted me who were not members is fascinating. Particularly, I'm going to say this, when they tried to take Maitland out of District 5 and put it in
Okay.
District 2.
I remember that.
And the people who contacted me from Maitland who did not want that were significant. Not as much as the people of Apopka who did not want Maitland in District 2.
I
So,
remember
yeah.
that fight.
Oh, yeah.
That was a lot. That was a lot.
Yeah. So it is going to be interesting. I mean, certain people want certain things taken out of their district. We know
Sure.
that. Okay. So yeah, the people who are appointed there, they're going to come with the agenda of, hey, we don't want this, take it out, give it
Right.
to somebody else. Yeah, and they'll propose their maps. And then you
Jimmy,
have
I'm
yeah,
sorry.
people who don't just sit there and don't do anything.
Yeah. Jimmy, are we going to see another conversation about splitting up Pine Hills or making Pine Hills a district onto itself?
That might be a discussion. And there's a discussion among those who are trying to create a second African American district.
Hmm.
Pine Hills would have the numbers. I mean, if you take part of Lockwood and other areas, Lockhart, excuse me,
Right, right.
and put them together, you would have enough people for a district. Particularly now that you're going to have 8, that you could have much less than 100,000 and justify that as a district. So yeah, it is something that is going to uh, go out. I don't see Pine Hills staying in District 2. I see more of Pine Hills leaving District 2 and Winter Garden going into District 2.
Hmm. Hmm.
You know, just as opposed to, because there's going to be a push, and I'm going to say this very respectful, there's going to be a push to create two African American districts, and
Yeah.
particularly since there's going to be about 3 to 4 Hispanic districts,
Yeah.
uh, that to justify it. Even though we know that the population, Hispanic population is double than the African American, so that would justify it. But really, right now, it's going to be interesting how this looks. Look, 1, 3, and 5 are not going to run in 26. We know that.
That's
Even
correct.
though everybody else is going to run 26, they're not. They're going to be grandfathered in. So that's goes without saying. Unless, and this is the unless that people don't think of, and they say, well, okay, everybody's going to run, but people from 1, 3, and 5, you can run for 2 terms, which will give you, instead of 8 years, it'll give you
Six,
10 years.
10 years. Okay, because of the two.
These are the things that
Right.
they didn't think this through, which is like when Pete quit to run for mayor, and
Right.
might have run the first time. She ran for his last 2 years. That's why she could be there up to 10 years. The thing is that then the other thing that's going to be interesting is those people we know are going to run for mayor, if they're going to care how their old districts look. Well,
Right.
uh, I can only think of one who's going to care about it. The rest, I am not clear if they're going to care about it at all. But there's
Right.
one that will. Uh,
And if you require 1, 3, and 5 to run again, I would think 1 and 5 would think that would be cost prohibitive for them because it was difficult to run the campaign on limited funding, fundraising, and just coming out of the election cycle. I would think they would be opposed to something like that, but
oh,
then
I,
again,
they would.
right,
They would. And I don't think it would pass, to be quite honest.
right,
But the possibility exists there. And remember, there's one of those three. You keep saying 1 and 5, but there's the third one could care less.
exactly. Uh, um, because it's likely that she will run for Orange County mayor.
Correct. She's already said it, so it's not like we're saying
Yeah.
something that's pro and that it's a secret. It's not a secret. She said it.
All right, Myra
But
Uribe,
yeah,
Commissioner Uribe.
will be running for mayor. And if she does that at that point, it doesn't really matter to her. And that will be the interesting thing. If she doesn't run for a district, then we have a new candidate. So it might only be two that will be protected, which would be 1 and 5, which then could be 6 and 7 because we don't know the numbers anyway. So
Right. Right. Unless she would want to protect her chosen successor to her office, and would want to have some input into whether or not those commissioners, I'm sorry, those seats, those offices will be up for another 2 years, or would have to run again in 2016, just coming off of an election here in 2024.
no, that could be a factor that she might
Right.
run into account. But realistically, I think she would be more concerned so her successor could run as to the location of the district, which is kind of interesting because one of the things when you do this is that everybody's going to fall into the district. It's the numbers might change, but you're still
Yeah.
going to be in the district. It's still going to be in your neighborhood. So it's
Right.
realistically, it's not going to be that much different. But yeah, people are going, and something too. And this is something that I don't think they're going to realize. But being that there's 8 districts, it's going to be cheaper to run for county commissioner
That's
because
correct. That's due to
you have to
one
reach
of
less
the
people.
charter amendments.
Okay, you have to reach less people.
Yep.
You should have less precincts. I mean, there's no way you're gonna have the same amount of precincts. So yeah, so it's good. It should be much easier for you to say, I'm going to run for county commissioner of any district because there's less people. And here's what is even going to become more interesting. So let's say for the rule of law that each district ends up with 70,000. I'm just pulling a number out of thin air.
Sure.
Okay. What's the 3% of 70,000?
That would be what, 2,100?
Is that less than what you require right now?
That's right about on. Wait a second. No, 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 no. No, no, no. It's right there. It's. I think 1,000 more, Jimmy. So 3 times 7 is what, 21,000, 21. So 2,100.
Okay.
So because if I remember correctly, for Kelly's race, it was I think it was like 1,400, 1,416 petition signatures we had to collect.
Wait a minute. When I said 70,000, I didn't realize that is more than what most of the county commissions are right now. So it's going to
Ah,
be less. So let's say it's 40,000 per district.
1,200. Wait, the math isn't mathing. Wait a second. If it's 40,000, Jimmy, um,
Okay, let's get our calculators. Come on. Let's stop
yeah,
pretending.
but aren't the district larger than that?
Well, right now they are, but when you have eight, what's the total population of Orange County? It's not a
Eight
million.
hundred thousand.
Okay, 800,000. That's 100,000 per district.
Yes, and I think it was okay. Here's the numbers, Jimmy. Um, so in 2024, May of 2024, um, it was for District One, a total of 141,000 total voters. This is the April district list. 134,000 for District 2, 135,000 for District 3, 138 for District 4, 143 for 5, and then 95, approximately 95,000 for
District 6.
District 6. And so roughly it came out to 798 total voters for all 6 districts. And this is data as of May 1st, 2024. So relatively new data.
Yeah. So relatively new data is that you have a difference of almost 50,000 voters in District 6 than in the other districts,
Correct.
which that's created some interesting things. So let's say that it is 100,000 per district because there's 8 districts. So you're still talking a lot less voters and less area to cover.
Right. And here's the official number. I was close. Um, as far as recently as November 2022 general election, 2024 petition information, 1% of signatures were required, 870,296 divided by 6 county commission districts. So at 1%, that would be 1,451 petition signatures required per district.
So basically, it's not going to change at all.
Correct.
And if the population continues growing, but the only good thing is that this first time around, you should be able to get your signatures from any part of the county.
And Jimmy, if it's allowed for candidates to, once the districts are defined, once it's allowed, if it's allowed to switch from um, one district to the appropriate district that they truly intend to run for, wouldn't it be smart for potential candidates to just file for mayor, and because the mayor encompasses all the districts, and start collecting petitions? And if it's allowed that you can collect petitions from across the county, it'll be easier for the smart thinking candidate to make a gamble, an educated risk, a calculated risk, to file as mayor, start collecting petitions from across the county, but predominantly from the area that you think the district that you plan to run in to be elected in, but primarily collect those petitions from that general area. I would think it would put someone ahead of the curve.
Not really.
Uh oh.
Let me
Talk
see.
to me, Jimmy.
I can see this challenge. Ms. Supervisor of Election, the person who signed a petition for Mr. Alfon to run for mayor. He did not sign that petition to run as a county commissioner, so I am challenging that petition. That petition can only be counted if he runs for mayor.
And that's why, ladies and gentlemen, that's why you should be listening to Jimmy Afine. There it is. That's why he is my political godfather here in Florida.
I've been doing this too long. I need to get a life.
We need you. We need you.
So yeah, it is a challenge, but I think that look, it's going to be what it is. And the worst part is that you cannot gather petitions for a district that doesn't exist at this point. It's not going to exist until the county commissioners say, okay, we divided the area in eight. This is one, this is two, this is three, this is four, this is five, this is six, this is seven, this is eight. Okay. And eight might be what it is today, District 4.
That's right.
I mean, the tradition in the past was as follows, and most people don't know this, but let me give you history.
All right.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay.
Okay.
When I moved, that was the districts. Then, in the 70s, they went to 6, and 6 is right between 1 and 2.
That's
so
right.
There's no really sequential thing here or anything. And the only thing that they have followed that I'm not sure if they're going to do it now. This is the other thing. How can you accommodate all these 8 districts to be able to go to downtown?
That's why I've said publicly, move county government, the actual office, the building, county administration from downtown to the convention center.
Yeah, but if you have to match everybody in the convention center, it's going to be the same problem. And for the record, the county government building is in the city limits of Orlando.
That's correct. That's correct.
Not in an incorporated area. It is in a very incorporated area.
Yes,
so,
it
yeah.
is.
But then again, it always was that, because when I moved here, it was in the old courthouse.
Right.
So there's where they used to meet until they decided to build their own building.
Jimmy.
Yes.
So we follow all this activity in regards to the rural settlement and the charter amendment. And then we had some drama with the city of Orlando seeking to annex approximately 53,000 acres of the Deseret Ranch development. The city has backtracked, and the city and the county, or more or less the two mayors, have agreed to the city of Orlando only annexing smaller acreage in Sunbridge instead of the Deseret Ranch acreage of 52,000 acres, in exchange for the county paying for renovations at Camping World Stadium, the Kia Center, renovating the receiving center on Cayley into a shelter. And that's been agreed upon by what I believe both the county and city commissions. Does the potential of the Sunbridge development, with the potential for all the development there, would that play into the redistricting efforts? Does the commission look into or kind of look into the future, the crystal ball, and anticipate new growth, especially at the a large, however, not as substantially large as the 52,000 acres, but still a large development like Sunbridge.
No, the redistricting under the rules of the state of Florida deals with what exists today. That was the backlash because when they created District 1, for example, the last time in redistricting, I would say that at least one quarter of the expansion in District 1 was not there, and that's why District 1 ended up being overpopulated. When they did the last redistricting, they did not take into account Avalo Park. That's why District 4 had to get let go of a lot of areas. Neither the part of what we would call at the end of Alafaya Trail, and all that other was really not considered. Uh, and an example of one of the things that can never be considered, and this is the one that's interesting, is UCF. UCF, we know we have residents there,
Ay, ay,
varies
ay.
from year to year, but
Right.
and they have the right to vote and all that. But realistically, that is an area that is kind of difficult to put in a proper perspective. So what they do is this is what we have. If it if it expands, then the new redistricting commission they have to deal with that. So it's passing the hot potato down the road attitude.
Wow.
This is what we have today. This is what we divide today. How many how many houses are going to be approved? And that an example, District 5. There was always until with what you might call Ted Edwards. Always there was a consideration that District 5 was going to spend immensely.
Yeah.
That there was going to be a lot of development out there. We know that there was projects presented and everything. Ted Edwards pushed for them, and Ted Edwards stopped being the commissioner because people out there did not want it. And right now, they just elected a person that they also know that if they try to develop out there, like they say back home, it ain't going to happen.
Yeah.
That was the biggest push of the people who voted for Kelly. Let's stop pretending that they liked her, but that they knew where she stood on that. So at this point, the question is going to be a simple one: can we really project expansion? And second, yeah, the city is going to give the permits, but that money really goes into the city. So, and the city doesn't have any representation in the redistricting committee, thank God. So it's going to be something that under the charter rules and the state rules, you cannot consider future expansion. If it becomes that bad, there is a power that would allow a redistricting, I think, after 5 years, but there has to be something like right now. Technically, we had a redistricting in 2020. We were not supposed to have a redistricting to 2030. The only reason we could have it is because we created two new districts. So let's say for some reason they decide, okay, we have all these new houses. We need to go from 8 to 9, or from 8 to 10. Uh, yeah, it's going to be interesting.
So there's that possibility, Jimmy, that there may not be a need for redistricting in 2030. Is it mandatory because it is
Yeah,
the 10 year
yes, you're
series?
gonna have to do 1 in 30 because it's every 10 years. That's what the law says. This
Okay.
is what you would call an extraordinary one because there's no way they're going to allow you not to have a redistricting in 2036. First of all, I
Right.
won't be around, so I cannot deal with it. So that's going to be in 2030 when I'm still around and I can do it again.
Jimmy's like, I am retired. I am retired from all of this. Wow.
I,
Wow.
I don't see you retiring. No.
Yeah, I thought about it. I'm thinking about it, but the election cycle has not ended, and I am looking.
If you
Uh,
retire, what you going to do?
what am I going to do? Probably do the same thing that I'm doing right now, but more quietly, probably,
Okay.
because I love this stuff. I really do. Either
Oh,
that, or teach or write books.
okay. I've tried to
Yes.
write books, but then again, it's kind of difficult to write a book bullshit and then get it published. So it's it's something that
Self-published, self-published.
okay
We'll
that I might
publish
do.
your book. Wow, Jimmy, thank you for answering my questions. This has been incredibly insightful. Is there anything in closing you want to mention?
No, I just want to see when the redistricting committee starts, who is going to be appointed, and if the mayor is going to try to pull out what he did the last time when he appointed two co-chairs, which was kind of interesting that he did that.
Yes.
Also interesting that he decided not like the CRC that basically we appoint our people and the committee elects their chair. They just decided, no, hey, the hell, we're going to appoint the chair because we know better. So it's going to be interesting how this works out.
Right, right. Yes, indeed. Well, here we go again, right, Jimmy?
It's just like, wait a minute, yes, we did do it 4 years ago. What am I talking about?
So next week it'll be the 19th. So that will be the week before Christmas. What would you like to discuss next week?
What can we expect in 2025? We're
All
going to have
right.
a new commissioner. We're going to have a new supervisor of election. We are going to have a reinstated state attorney. And we're going to have what I call people like to say there's a dead year in politics. And
Oh,
I say,
no.
no, 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 no. What's going to happen in the beginning of 2025? Predictions of who's going to run and for what positions. Because even though the elections might be in August of 2026, a year before you have to get people scared out not to run, to get your campaign contributions, to get your signatures, and everything else that you're going to do for 26. And in particular, here's where it's going to be interesting. Who are the people who are going to say, okay, there's going to be two real openings? There's going to be no challenges. I'm not going to be running against an incumbent. So where am I going to run? Now, where it's going to be interesting to say, well, there's not going to be an incumbent, but I might not live there,
Right.
so I can run, and that's where I think the person is going to be. But what's going to happen in what people call the off-election year, which
Mhm.
that there's no such thing. Okay, politics is 25/7. I mean 24/7, and with all due respect to everybody, uh, everything is political.
It is, Jimmy. And I'm going to slip a little bonus footage in here. Speaking of people running, we had Eric Gray, who, in my professional opinion, has filed prematurely for District 4. And if I remember correctly, last time I checked, he's the only one who has filed for county commission. Is he in a really weird spot right now?
He is, yeah, and he is because of one simple reason. People know that where he lives in that area, he's going to run, and and since the county commissioners are going to give the number, it's not going to make a difference. The only concern I have is he really? There's something that's said about politics. Sometimes you you don't do it too soon or you don't do it too late.
Yeah.
And in this case, he's done it extremely soon.
Yes.
And he thought he's going to scare off people. With all due respect, the area where he's going to run is Hispanic.
That's right.
So that is an Hispanic might run there. That might be something to consider.
Hmm.
Okay.
If he had only picked up the phone and talked to the people who know better.
Well, biggest problem with candidates, and I can say that as a former candidate, is that our head goes this big and we think we know everything. I like to say that candidates are like teenagers. They know everything and they don't know anything.
And on that note, Jimmy, thank you so much. And to our audience, this is probably, it gets better every week. So please, everyone, Jimmy's family, my family, our friends, our influencers out there, our fellow politicos, those candidates and electeds who you think will benefit from hearing this wise, incredibly uh, information. Oh my goodness, I can't even speak now. This has been exceptional, Jimmy, and I encourage everyone to like, share, hit the notification button, all that good stuff that Jimmy has
And
said in the
subscribe.
past.
Don't forget to subscribe.
Thank you, Jimmy, and don't forget to subscribe and don't forget to comment. We want to hear what you have to say, and we've had some good comments. You know, Jimmy, I need to start sharing some of those comments. They come in, and overall, you've been impressive. So I really appreciate it, Jimmy, and
Okay.
thank you so much.
I will see you next week. Okay.
Indeed.
Goodbye to all, and to all, have a good evening
Indeed.
or
Bye
morning, whatever you. We don't know when you're hearing us.
now.
Take care.
See you the next time.
See you next time. Okay.